Hello everyone! Just a few days ago I published a video about ND filters for my DSLR, but today it's even more interesting because I'm testing for the first time some ND filters for my phone. Let's roll the intro. For those of you who are new to this channel, I'm Bellemare-Alford, a young photographer and filmmaker on a journey to become better at this art. In this video I will focus on the photography aspects of using an ND filter with your phone, but I'm quickly going to talk about also why you should use it for video. But first, let's talk about how to set it up. Setting these filters up is very straightforward. So they come in a nice little pack right here. So you only have to open it and you have your free filters here. So you have an ND16, an ND32, and an ND64. Then you just select the one you want. So I'm going to take right here the ND32 and you take the little clip that comes with it and you can simply screw it on right here. The next step is simply to clip it on. So you only have to take out your phone, clip it on top of your cameras here, and that's all you have to do. And this is really great because you don't need a special case or anything. And this is one of the main reasons why I didn't have ND filters up to now, because I didn't really want to have a whole case and everything permanently attached to it. So this is a really great option that works with any phone that you might have. If you're wondering why it's so useful to use ND filters when filming videos with your phone, it's because it allows to get some natural motion blur. An ND filter is like sunglasses for your camera, allowing to get some blur when you're moving objects around. So for example, if I move my hand, it's going to be blurry, it's not going to be perfectly sharp, and that's what we want to get some more natural and more cinematic images. I have other videos that go in much more depth about why ND filters are so important for video, so I'm going to link them down below if you want to learn more about that. Now let's move on to photography. One of the first reasons why I would use an ND filter on my phone is to make things disappear. This is especially useful if you're in a touristy spot where there's a lot of people around you and you just want to get a cleaner image. Everybody that's moving inside of your shot is either going to become blurry or it's just going to completely disappear from the shot. So even if a very busy area, you can get a really clean and nice looking shot. It's also a pretty nice artistic effect, so it's definitely worth trying out. So let's see how we can do it. To get this effect, we're going to want to use a Pro Camera app. So if you don't have Pro settings inside of your default camera app, you can download one from the App Store. I'm going to be using ProCam X in this case to do the demo. So the first thing we want to change is have a slower shutter speed. It doesn't need to be very long. It can be just something like 1/25 of a second. So just let me get it. So let's do 125. And now we're just going to wait for some cars to pass by. I'm just also going to fix my exposure. And now this looks pretty good. So now let's just wait for some cyclists to arrive. So if you have the cyclist right here and you take a picture, we're going to see that now they're now completely blurry. So this is not necessarily the best example because I don't have a great composition, but you get that idea that you can get people blurry. And if you take an even longer exposure using a tripod, you can make them disappear completely from your shot. Another reason why these filters from Sandmarc are pretty useful is that they allow you to get more vibrant green and blues inside of your sky. This is not because of the ND, this is because of the CPL or polarizing filter. The polarizing filter allows to get more vibrant green and blues, and you can simply turn around to change the intensity. Another pretty great thing about using this filter is that it allows to remove some of the reflections inside of windows or anything that has a reflective surface, so it can really help get better and cleaner shots in the end. My next point has everything to do about long exposures. But I'm not talking exposures only 1/20th of a second like we did before, I'm talking even longer than that. This is really great for things like the lake right at the side here, or some waterfalls, or anything like that where you want to show that there's a lot more motion inside of that part. It's going to make this shot a little bit simpler and really show to your head that something was moving around. This is also great with things like a Ferry wheel, where you can show that it's turning around, and the motion and the lines that it's going to create while turning around is going to tell your head that that was in motion when taking the shot. You really need the ND filter to be able to get this type of shots because usually the aperture on a smartphone is around f2.0, which is a lot of light that is coming inside. So usually you have a pretty fast shutter speed to be able to compensate for that. So by using an ND filter, you're able to slow down everything and really get some nice motion inside of your photos. To get good looking long exposures, you really have to test out the settings and find what works best for you in your situation. So for example, for me right now with the Ferry wheel in the background here, I'm at 10 seconds ISO 200 and I have everything else on manual on the camera, and that seems to be working best. I also have a ND16 filter just to get a little bit longer exposure in the end. But you really need to find what's working for you because every situation is different and every situation is going to give different results. Another reason why I would use an ND filter on my phone is not for photography, but for time lapses. Just like we saw at the beginning of this video, you can use an ND filter to get some motion when things are moving around inside of your frame. The more motion you have, the more motion blur you're going to have when using an ND filter, and this is going to trick your head into thinking that everything is moving pretty fast. And that's exactly what you want when you're taking a time lapse, because you're speeding up everything around, so you want to trick your head into thinking that everything is moving really fast. If you don't use an ND filter, everything is going to be sharp on every single frame, and your head is going to have a hard time understanding what is happening because it's expecting everything to move fast, but everything is perfectly sharp, so this just doesn't work for your head. I have another video that talks about the relationship between frame rates, motion blur, and shutter speed, so definitely go check that one out if you want to understand this a little bit better. It's finally dark enough for me to talk about the last type of shot I wanted to cover inside of this video. You guessed it, it's another type of long exposure, and this one is going to be light painting. So you're basically able to paint in a free space by using light, and for us we're going to be using the cars that are passing by on the screen. For this, you absolutely need a tripod, so I have my camera down right here on a tripod because we're going to be taking extremely long exposures, so about 5 to 10 seconds in my case, to get some nice long trail while a car is passing by on the street. This works because the lights on the car are much brighter than everything else that is around, so everything that is darker is just going to disappear while you're taking the shot, but the lights are going to stay and they're going to create some lines through the street. So you're going to see it's a pretty cool effect. For this, I want to have a car that is passing by on this side because I want the backlights that are red because they contrast a little bit more with the foreground than if you have the white lights coming towards you. So now the only thing we're left is to wait for a car to pass by and take the picture. I think my settings right now are at 10 seconds, ISO 200, and I have a ND16 on for this picture. So now let's just wait and see the result. So, should you get these ND filters from Sandmarc? The Hybrid filter kit, which is the one I have right here that includes 3 ND filters that also have CPL filters inside, is $129. I think that is a pretty good value for what you're getting. If you use your mobile device as your primary photography device, it's definitely useful to have some ND filters and CPL filters because it unlocks a lot of possibilities that are simply not possible if you're not using ND filters or CPL filters. Another pretty great thing about these filters is that they're very high quality. I didn't find any problems of vignetting or anything like that, and that's because it's not a cross-polarized ND filter, so you don't get these types of problems as they are fixed. Another pretty good thing is that you don't get much color cast, which is sometimes a problem that you have inside some of the cheaper ND filters. So overall, I can highly recommend this if it's the type of filters that you want to be looking for to step up your photography game using your mobile device. If you enjoyed this video, definitely let me know by hitting the like button below, and also consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to have more content on mobile photography, including a whole series on how to take pictures using your phone that is coming up really soon. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.